Okay, so here we go, guys. These are 4 things that you guys need to understand before attacking foos with square roots. And what am I talking about? I'm talking about these guys right here. When you do these, you need to understand, you have to be able to understand these 4 things. Okay, so I'm going to go over these 4 things really quick with you and help you guys understand them. Now, some of you guys asked earlier, like, how come that just goes to 0? That's what I'm going to, because math. So here's that one thing. First, remember that the limit of 1 over x equals 0 as you approach infinity, and the same thing with negative infinity. You should know this because of horizontal asymptotes, or do you guys know what the horizontal asymptote is for 1 over x?
0.
It's 0, right? Or because you know that as the denominator gets extremely big, the fraction as a whole becomes what?
Smaller.
Becomes small to what?
0.
Remember, we're going to infinity, so we're going the absolute distance until it converges. Okay. Also, I don't put it on here, but if you guys look at this function, as you approach infinity, you're approaching this horizontal asymptote right here, which is at y equals 0. As you approach negative infinity, same thing. This is approaching 0. Okay, so that part's done. Second, you guys need to remember that you guys can split apart square roots. If you guys go square root of 2 times square root of 3, what do you get? Square root of 6. If you guys go square root of 2 times this, what do you get? 6x minus 2. Oops, I made that a little too short. Okay, so all that's underneath there. So how can you write this if you factor out 2x squared?
X minus 5. X minus 5.
Very good. Okay, this is needed in order to simplify or solve that problem that we did earlier. Okay, third. Oh, this one's weird. This is like this. This equals this. They're the same thing. Almost. Okay. Now, when you think about this, think like this. You see this x squared? He will always be positive. And so the square root is safe. You can't have a negative inside of a square root, right? You can't have that. And so if you want to simplify this, you need to state that you're talking about the positive values or the positive results. So in this one, I could plug in negatives. And in this one, I could plug in negatives because over here, the squared gets rid of the negative. Over here, the absolute value bars get rid of the negative. And so this equals this. And so if you were to simplify this, you need to make sure you put absolute value bars around that. Okay, you have to have only positive numbers in this. That's what I just said. X squared will always produce a positive number. That's why you guys have to have absolute value bars. So now we get to this guy down here. Okay, now you're going to get these guys very often. Now, those guys are essentially the same. Okay, you get the same result out of both of them. We only really need to do a table for one of them, but we're going to do both here. So if I'm going to plug a negative 2, a negative 1, a 0, a 1, and a 2 in that one. And I want you guys to do the same for this one. I want you to actually do it. Well, I'm going to do it with you. Negative 2 over negative 2, the absolute value of negative 2. What does this equal? This equals negative 2 over 2, which equals negative 1. Right? Then if I plug in negative 1, I get negative 1 over negative 1 absolute value. That is the same as negative 1 over 1, which equals negative 1. So we get negative 1 again. If I plug in 0, bad things happen. Look, we get 0 divided by 0. That's D and E. Now, if I plug in positive 1, what do you get? You get 1 over the absolute value of 1, which equals 1. And if I get 2 over the absolute value of 2, that equals 1. Oh, let's plug in 3 for the fun of it. 1, right. Okay, so then when you guys do the next one, you get the same answers. Negative 1, negative 1, negative 1, D, N, E. Does not exist. And then you have 1, 1, 1. So that means our graph is going to look like this. At 1, we have an open circle, and we're going to go to positive infinity, always to 1. At negative 1, we're going to have an open dot at 0, and then we're going to go to be on negative 1 the whole time. And that one's done. So, now, what are all these limits? What is the limit as you approach 0 from the left of this? What's this limit?
Negative 1.
Negative 1. Okay, I'm going to pause this and let you guys finish the rest. So this one right here, approaching 0 from the positive side, that's right here. You're going, woo! Or what are you approaching? 1. So I'm going to put a 1 right here. If we're just approaching 0 from both sides, that's DNE. Because... Quiet! Okay, the left and the right side, left and the right side have to equal in order for this to exist. Now this one says, as you approach infinity. So this is infinity right here. That's positive infinity. As this line is approaching infinity, what do you get? Now. As you're approaching negative infinity, what do you get? Negative 1. Because negative infinity is this way, and we're always going to be at 1.